let's chat about circles. So we have a standard form of a circle, just like we have the standard form of a linear or quadratic. And it looks like this. It's the quantity of x minus h squared plus the quantity y minus k squared is equal to r squared, where hk is the center of the circle and then the radius is just r. The more you work with it, the more familiar it will become. So here is an example of just a generic. So here's the center at hk, and then the radius would go to some point on the graph. And remember, the radius is the same everywhere in the circle. Okay, so here it asks us to write the standard form of equation of a circle with center 0, 0, and the radius of 4. So this is going to be my h value. This is going to be my k value. And then we have our radius, which is 4. So going to the standard form of the equation, we have x minus 0, because that's that h value. And then we're also going to plug in the 0 for our k value. And then we'll plug in our radius and we'll square it. We'll clean everything up. So our equation would be x squared plus y squared is equal to 16. Let's try one that's a little bit harder. So let's write the standard form of the equation with the center at -4, -5, and the radius of 3. So we have x minus -4 squared plus y minus -5 squared, and that's going to equal our radius squared. So our final answer, when we simplify, would be the quantity x plus 4 squared plus the quantity y plus 5 squared is equal to 9. All right, I encourage you to pause it. Try this last one on your own. So here we have the equation of the circle. We're going to write it for this one shown. So looking at the picture, we can tell that our center is at -2, 3. They kind of give us that information. And then we need to figure out the radius. So it's from the middle of the circle out to the edge. And they do label it in this picture, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So our radius would be equal to 6. Okay, so writing the equation of our circle, we'd have x plus 2 squared plus y minus 3 squared is equal to 36. One of the more common things that people forget is that radius is squared. So whether we're writing it or taking the equation back to the radius, don't forget you got to manipulate that number. All right, so here we're given the equation, and then we need to kind of work backwards to get the information that we need. So here our center is going to be 0. There's no number here with x. And then our k value is going to be 3. Notice that it's like the opposite. Our radius is going to be the square root of 16, which is going to be 4. This is r squared. So to get back to r, we have to square root it. So we'll start by putting those things on our graph. 0, 3, and then we have a radius of 4. So in all 4 directions, I'm going to count out 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to go down 4, to the left 4, and then also up 4. From there, I'm going to do my best to connect into a circle. You should be able to find the domain of this. It goes from -1 to 7, and then -4 to 4. We've done so much domain and range. Remember, domain is this direction, range is this direction. So we also have something called the general form of a circle. General form of a circle looks like this. ax squared plus by squared plus cx plus dy plus e is equal to 0. So imagine in these first examples that you like would write out this binomial square, double distribute it. If you had something here, you would do the same thing, and then you kind of put everything on one side. That would be general form of a circle. So we can go between general form and standard form pretty easily. And to do that, we do completing the square. Hence why we learned it before. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to gather my like variables. So I have x, and then I have my x. So I'm going to kind of gather them together in one set of parentheses. I'm going to gather my y's in the other parentheses. And then I'm going to take that 23 to the other side. So I'm going to add 23 to both sides. This is where completing the square comes in. So we want to complete the square for this part of our quadratic here. So remember, we take b, we divide it by 2, and we square it. So 4 divided by 2 is 2, squared is 4. So I'm going to put that here. Don't forget to also always add it to the other side. I'm going to do the same thing for y. I'm going to take my b, I'm going to divide it by 2, I'm going to square it. It's going to give me 9. I'm also going to make sure to add that to the other side. And what I just did was I created a quadratic that is factorable. And that quadratic, when I factor it, is x plus 2 times x plus 2, or x plus 2 squared. This second quadratic is also factorable. That one's going to be factored into x minus 3 and x minus 3, or x minus 3 squared. I will just add all of these guys together, and we get 36. So from here, I now know that the center of that circle was at -2, 3, and I can also tell you that the radius was equal to 6. I can show you another example. So again, I'm going to collect my like variables, x squared, and my other x term. I'm going to collect my y terms over here. I'm going to send any whole numbers to the right. To complete the square, we take the b value, we divide it by 2, and we square it. If I add something to the left-hand side of the equation, I also have to add it to the right. Same thing here. I'm going to take that b, I'm going to divide it by 2, I'm going to square it. If I add 4 to the left, I add 4 to the right. This is now factorable. When I factor it, it's x plus 2 times x plus 2, or x plus 2 squared. This is also factorable. X minus 2, x minus 2, or x minus 2 squared. All of these numbers I'm just going to combine together. So I now, again, know the center of my circle is at -2, 2, and I have a radius of 3. So I'm taking my h and my k values. Notice that they're changing signs. And then I'm taking the square root of what it's equal to get to my radius. So that's the equation of a circle and how we can go from standard form and general form and be able to graph and go in between, back and forth between equations.